When discussing Pokemon clones, there's a hierarchy to the whole situation. At the top, you have Pokemon, naturally, and then there's Digimon because of its namesake. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a big fat question mark on it. It's certainly not a clone, but its popularity in the West is probably intertwined with Pokemon's. Metabots is fun, Beyblade is radical, and all the way at the bottom you'll reach the floor. And if there's enough water damage, the floor will cave in, and in the messy, wet debris, you may find Monster Rancher. I actually enjoyed looking at Monster Rancher quite a bit, but out of the whole Pokemon associated group, it's easily the most forgotten. The only time I ever hear it brought up are when people are talking about Pokemon clones. And it's always an afterthought. On a shallow level, a lot of these series have a surface level appeal. If Pokemon were to just die one day, you know Nintendo could still sell Pikachu merchandise. Same goes for Digimon and Bandai. But no one's running out to buy Suizo merchandise. I mean, Mike Wazowski has a monopoly on that whole market. Also, I hate that I've made this connection, and I hate myself even more for this. Ugh. Monster Rancher, called Monster Farm in Japan, didn't really differentiate itself through its character design, gameplay, anime, or story. Instead, it differentiated itself through a gimmick. The concept of Monster Rancher surrounds mystery discs. A mystery disc has a monster inside of it which can be raised to fight and whatnot. Now, while you can get mystery discs in the game, the real discs are the CDs you own. Yes, you, the player. Going into the shrine in all of these games allows you to take the Monster Rancher disc outside of the PlayStation console and place in any CD you own, which will give you a semi-unique monster. However, some of these designs are less like Pokemon and more like No Man's Sky. It definitely feels like some of these designs are automated. With later installments in the series, DVDs could be used, and some movies or CDs had exclusive monsters inside of them, like Harry Potter in the Chamber of Secrets. I keep wanting to call the monsters in Monster Rancher Monster Ranchers, but they're just called monsters. You are, in fact, the Monster Rancher. While I think Monster Rancher 2 is considered to be the fan favorite, I got Monster Rancher 1 because I'm a moron who didn't bother to do his research. Monster Rancher for the PlayStation 1 is more like Tamagotchi in Digimon than it is like Pokemon. While Pokemon is more like a traditional JRPG with a collectible party, Monster Rancher is in fact a VPET game with a battling element. You are a Monster Rancher and you ranch monsters. From the beginning, you get the option of picking from a dinosaur, a wolf, and a minion. I picked the dinosaur named Aguchu because I want to make all the Monster Rancher fan angry. The monster's health and growth is managed through a weekly/monthly system. At the beginning of the month, you decide what to feed your monster, and then week by week, you manage what your monster is going to do. Depending on what your monster is good at, you can send it to work for money and experience, let it rest if it gets tired, or pay for training. While the bulk of the game isn't too involved, the multiple things and statuses you have to pay attention to kind of makes it interesting. For example, certain jobs give out experience for certain attributes. So I was trying to balance everything out, but Aguchu isn't good at all of the tasks. So I may risk not earning money that week in order to gain experience and whatnot. The battle system isn't too involved either. It's a balance between the monster's will, accuracy, and attack type. Will takes a while to build up and is represented by a progress bar. Attacks require will, and the more will you have, the greater the accuracy of your attacks. I would do well starting out most tournaments, but for the most part, I never won them. So what do I know? Now, Aguchu is no different than any other VPET I've owned. It died. Hot take, taking care of VPETs is a lot harder than taking care of actual pets. Oh, puppy. So I decided to put some CDs in to get some sweet monsters. Katy Perry's Teenage Dream gave me a hare. Neat. Real Big Fish's Cheer Up gave me a plant. I named him Bop. Also, the Digimon the movie soundtrack gave me a purple dinosaur who I named Rancher Mo because I accidentally deleted the N. I combined a few of them and got this rainbow worm. That's pretty gross. But I ended up sticking with this golem named Slap via Of Montreal's Hissing Fauna Are You the Destroyer. He's still alive and kicked some butt. Monster Rancher for PS1 is a VPET simulator. A pretty good one too. The game's task system is quick, work, training, and battling is all super efficient, so if you ever have to spend time doing some of the more tedious things in the game, like resting and working, it's not too much time before you can focus on something you want to do. If you're looking for a substitute for Pokemon, it's not here. But if you like Tamagotchi and Digimon, Monster Rancher is a neat little thing you may want to look into. I know 2 is more well liked, and maybe one day I'll do a more in-depth video on 2, 3, and 4, but the first game is pretty fun. There was also a Monster Rancher card game, which I thought was the same as the Monster Rancher Battle card game series, but upon further inspection, it looks quite different. Now, I didn't have enough cards to play the game, but I did play the Battle Card Episode 2 game. Episode 1 was released for the Game Boy Color beforehand. Monster Rancher Card Battle is the most simplistic version of a card game ever. It's essentially a 3v3 battle between the player's chosen monster cards. During your turn, you can choose to either build up guts, which is your mana, attack the other players, or dodge when they attack. It's really simple, and I'm sure it gets more complicated the more you play, but it was a fun little time waster, I guess. Moving on. And finally, there's the Monster Rancher anime. Monster Rancher, the anime. I'll call it MR for short. The Mr. anime stars Genki, not to be confused with horror movie villain Genki. Genki is a young kid who is pretty good at the Monster Rancher video game, and then he's sent into Monster Rancher World, where he and a group of monsters follow a stone, guiding them to a special phoenix, who can save the monster world from the evil Moo. It's all laid out in the theme song, which is neither a bop nor a slap. In fact, it's quite bad.
I was transported to a faraway land, into a world where monsters rule.
I'm sorry, Monster Rancher fan.
Now we're in this place to save the monsters from the evil Moo.
The evil Moo. That's a pretty good name. Also, there's the Monster Rancher rap in between commercials, which is definitely a direct reference to the Poke rap.
Unlock your disc. 400 monsters, all shapes and sizes. You can't predict them, they're full of surprises.
The song even brags about having over 400 monsters, which is completely an attempt to discredit Pokemon's 150. So Genki is a weird, refreshing character after watching all of Digimon. This kid is just so dumb, but in a fun, lovable way. He has roller skates and is always fighting alongside the monsters. His goal is just to save the monster world. He doesn't even want to go home. In fact, there's an episode where he has a dream he's home and he's genuinely upset. I watched about 15 episodes and skipped to the last one. Spoiler alert, Genki never gets home and he doesn't care. I love it. Alongside Genki is Holly and her guardian Suezo, a Suezo. Holly's village was destroyed by Moo, so she must find the Phoenix to avenge her dead father. But spoiler alert, Moo is actually her dad. So that's fun. And then there's the rest of the cast. Tiger, a wolf. I really hate that name. He's the serious, angry member of the group. And then there's Golem, a golem, who doesn't like to fight but totally will. Mochi, a baby monster hatched by Genki, who is anime trope 1-A, always hungry. And finally, Hare, a hare, who is a bit of a con artist in the brains of the group.
Please, Tiger. I know that you're not very happy about losing, so I thought I'd try and make it up to you somehow.
Hare is played by the same voice actor who does Double D, and weirdly enough, there are quite a few Ed, and Eddie alumni in the English dub of Monster Rancher. It's a Canadian dub, so it makes sense. Canada has rules about using Canadian voice actors in animation projects, and Ed, and Eddie was a Canadian production, so of course nearly all their voice actors would overlap somewhere, including in the final main character, Pixie. Pixie was a bad person, but now she's not, so that's fun. In a lot of my reviews, I usually spend a lot of time talking about the characters. If you don't understand the characters, the plot really doesn't matter because you're not invested in how the characters are interacting with the plot. Monster Rancher's plot is simple. Moo wants to take over the world by making other monsters evil, and the crew has to locate a strong monster to stop him. However, it's quite enjoyable because the characters' personality and motivation are apparent throughout everything I've seen. The characters disagree with each other, their interactions are funny, it's just fun and enjoyable.
Meet one hyperactive kid.
I'm Genki.
He doesn't just play video games, he lives in one.
However, Monster Rancher quickly gained and quickly dropped any popularity it had because of its issues airing in the United States. Being a Canadian production, Monster Rancher had to be licensed to American networks for airing. The first season aired on Fox Kids in the US, but they never bought the rights for the second season. So they ran the first 20-something episodes over and over again until the ratings dropped. By the time Kids WB aired season 2, no one was really interested, and the season only aired all the way through once. Season 3 was a continuation which went on past the Moose storyline, but it never aired in the United States until Hulu picked it up a few years ago. All 3 seasons would later be released on DVD. When a network airs their own property, there's an incentive for it to succeed. Merchandise, investments, etc. But when it's a licensed property, all that really matters are the ratings, and unfortunately, Monster Rancher was treated more as a time slot filler than anything else, especially by Fox Kids. After Monster Rancher 4, the series saw new entries on and off again until 2008's Monster Rancher DS, released in North America in 2010. The game saw moderate success, but highly negative reviews. Despite rumors over the years of a series return, nothing has come out of it, but I think that's okay. Monster Rancher is really based on a gimmick. You can place any CD in the PlayStation to create a new monster, and that's pretty cool, and the gameplay of the original is fun and all, but it's not really any different than any other virtual pet simulator. And I don't think the character design, Monster Rancher lore, or story is enough to keep an audience, especially when Tamagotchi and Digimon are still putting out games. I enjoyed Monster Rancher, but outside of a potential video or videos discussing 2, 3, and 4, I'm not really clamoring to play more. It's probably a relic which should be left in the past. I don't really see it making a comeback, but that's okay. Not every franchise needs to be omnipresent, lasting forever. Some things can just exist in their own time. Also, I don't need to be seeing Suezo every year on a new video game release. Ugh. Special thanks to Audible for sponsoring this video. Go to audible.com/Billiam or text Billiam to 500-500 to get a free audiobook, 2 free Audible originals, and a 30-day free trial. With the world's largest selection of audiobooks, including Audible originals, I've had a lot to listen to recently. I'm working on a personal project which involves me driving up and down Florida, and it's a brutal drive. But with Audible, that drive has been made a lot easier. Luckily, my Audible credits roll over, so I've been able to listen to one audiobook after the other. Many of the books I've been listening to on Audible are books that I've purchased, but haven't had time to sit down and read. But I can listen to an audiobook anytime. I can be working on chores, working out, or doing whatever. And even if I start a book and don't finish it right away, it stays in my library, which is great because my schedule's changing a lot. I just finished Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. Yes, his books are a bit cheesy, but I read The Fault in Our Stars when I was going through a slightly similar circumstance to the main characters. The book was eerily reflective to how I was feeling at the time, and it meant a lot then, and it kind of still means a lot now, even if all his characters talk like they're grown-up versions of the Peanuts. Turtles All the Way Down does the same thing with anxiety. Relatable content. I love the way he articulates those exploratory, seemingly deep thoughts we've all had or have as teenagers. Just hits kind of close to home. So yeah, I like John Green. If you want to chat with me about this book or want to recommend me books for the future, please go to my Discord channel and join the book club. Just at me and I'll be sure to respond. Anyways, thank you again to Audible for sponsoring this video. Go to audible.com/Billiam or text Billiam to 500-500 to get a free audiobook, 2 free Audible originals, and a 30-day free trial. Thank you again to Audible for sponsoring this video. Thank you for watching this video. Remember, my YouTube channel got deleted over the weekend. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I really want other avenues to be able to get in contact with my audience if that were to happen again. So just go check all that stuff out. Other than that, thank you for watching and have a good day.